And for more on the looming possibility of an added troop presence in the Middle East, let's turn to former Pentagon official Mike Maloof. Mike, the DoD just outright denies the talk of some 14,000 soldiers, but they don't deny that a smaller deployment is in the offing. Where do you suspect they'd be going? More to Saudi Arabia or elsewhere, like along the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, there's a lot of moving parts here, and both domestic and foreign. And I think what's happening is that the United States is continuing to move contingencies into Saudi Arabia for defensive purposes, but those are primarily for Patriot batteries and what have you. There's a message here, and what's a little disturbing is that we're hearing once again the mantra of regime change in Iran, not only from the Israelis, but Pompeo now echoing that same thing. And I remember what happened when we talked regime change in Libya. There was no second-day plan, and
right.
I don't hear anything along that line. A lot, as the correspondent said, the idea is to set up a deterrence to try and dissuade Iran from initiating anything. The U.S. believes that they were the ones responsible, for example, in hitting the oil wells in Saudi Arabia. That's still a bone of contention with folks, and Iranians vehemently deny. The Iranians deny that. But clearly it's to set up a deterrence. One of the things the United States is, and Undersecretary Rood from the Defense Department was expressed concerns about information which he has not revealed in detail about Iran moving short-range ballistic missiles into Iraq. So there, but again, we don't. There's no evidence. We haven't seen it, and a lot of this, I'm just wondering if they're building this crescendo of anticipation and trying to set up a self-fulfilling prophecy by developing these forces, putting them in, waiting for an incident to occur, and then having one of our assets attacked because of provocation, and boom, we're off and running. Now, the other aspect of this is given that the United States is so focused on impeachment talk and the elections, there's a concern that some activities may go on outside and draw our attention away from it, given that these elements
like a new
are
shiny
occurring.
object.
Things could be happening on the outside, and that's why the deterrence is there. But the deterrence may not be sufficient.
But Mike, it seemed like after those oil well attacks, it seemed like the tensions between the U.S. and Iran were simmering down. There was 1,500 troops deployed. You know, there was a kerfuffle about that, and then they got over that in September. So why this consideration right now? What about the timing? I mean, you say it seems like maybe a deterrent act, but is there any chance that this is kind of a veiled offensive?
That's what I'm concerned about. Judging from that conversation that we just heard
between Pompeo and
Netanyahu, that is of concern. Is there something else brewing? Because Trump himself says, look, I want to get forces out of the Middle East, and you got these two characters saying we want regime change, basically. And once again, are the neocons taking over things once again?
Here's another thing that doesn't make sense, at least not to me. The shocking move by Russia, who has been an ally with Iran during all of this drama. Today, we're learning that Moscow is suspending a joint research project with Iran because of their move to resume uranium enrichment. This is pretty confounding to me because it sounds like Moscow is using its influence with Iran to steer them back towards the rules of the JCPOA. Why would they do that?
Well, because, frankly, Moscow has not dropped out of the JCPOA. They want to continue its enforcement. And, in fact, Moscow has announced that they're going to be boosting Bushehr, the second reactor in Bushehr. The whole idea is if Moscow can go in and assist Iran on its nuclear development, then they can maybe keep down this problem that would be a provocation for a possible military strike.
Wow. So it seems like everybody else is still.
As I said, there's a lot of moving parts here.
Everyone's moving to keep the JCPOA together, except the Trump administration. Neocons moving troops at lots of stuff.
And you have Iran just sort of slowly ratcheting things up. They can pull it back now. Florida, where this enrichment is supposed to occur, was meant to be more of a research area for medical research with isotopes. And the Russians, that's what the Russians were going to help them on, and that would be allowed under the JCPOA. The
but
Iranian
this
nuclear
isn't going to work now.
Well, no, because it's two different things. I mean, you only enrich for the purpose of nuclear weapons.
All right, we'll have to leave it right there. A lot of moving parts, like you said. Mike Maloof, thank you for sharing your expertise.
Pleasure.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.